I'd been delivering pizzas for 2 years now, and nothing really surprised me anymore. Weird customers, strange requests, you name it. But tonight, I got an order from a part of town I didn't recognize. The address was in a quiet neighborhood, one of those places where the houses sat far apart, almost forgotten. The night was darker than usual as I rode through narrow, empty streets. My GPS flickered a bit, as if confused about the destination. When I arrived, the house looked out of place. Old, withered, and looming in the shadows. I could swear it wasn't there last week. With the pizza in hand, I walked up to the door. No lights inside. I knocked twice, but no one answered. Then, a voice from the shadows said, "Just leave it by the door." I left the pizza, confused, and turned to leave, but something pulled me back. I heard footsteps behind me. They were soft, like someone was tiptoeing closer. I spun around, and nothing was there. Just the pizza box, untouched. As I hurried to my bike, I got a notification from the app. Delivery completed.
Tip, $50.
Surprised, I checked the app, but instead of a name for the customer, it just said, Anonymous. Curiosity got the better of me. I glanced back at the house and noticed something odd. The pizza box was open now. I swear it had been closed when I left. Then, I saw something, just a glimpse, but enough to freeze me. Inside the box was a handwritten note. "Welcome to your last delivery." Before I could react, my phone buzzed again. A new order had come in from the same house, except this time it wasn't pizza they wanted. It was me. The pizza shop rule was simple. Deliver in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. I had gotten pretty good at beating the clock, even on weird routes. But tonight was different. The address was deep in the countryside, way off the usual path. The streets were dark and quiet, no streetlights, just an eerie moon casting shadows on the trees. I arrived at the location with minutes to spare. The house was huge, old, and isolated, surrounded by thick woods. It looked like something out of a horror movie, but I had a job to do. I grabbed the pizza and headed to the front door. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. I was about to turn around and leave when I heard a voice, raspy and low, from inside. "Come in. The door's open." Against my better judgment, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The house was dead silent. Dust covered every surface, and the air felt thick, almost suffocating. There were no lights on, just the dim glow from the moon outside filtering through the windows. "Hello," I called out, but no one responded. I walked further in, trying to figure out where to leave the pizza. As I reached the living room, I froze. There was a family portrait hanging on the wall. The people in it looked familiar. My heart raced as I moved closer. It was me, in the picture, standing with a family I didn't know. Before I could even process it, the front door slammed shut behind me. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out, hoping it was just a message or a call from my boss. Instead, the delivery app showed a new message. "You were supposed to be home. Welcome back." Suddenly, footsteps echoed from upstairs. They weren't rushed, just slow and deliberate, as if someone was taking their time coming down to greet me. I tried to run, but it felt like the walls were closing in. Every hallway led back to the same room, the same portrait of me with that unfamiliar family. The footsteps grew louder, closer, and then the voice from the front door whispered again, closer this time. "You're not leaving, are you? You never did. I never made it out. And now, I'm just waiting for the next delivery to arrive." It was my last delivery of the night, and I was exhausted. The address came through as a place I didn't recognize. Some old, abandoned neighborhood that barely showed up on GPS. But I needed the tip, so I accepted the order. When I pulled up, the house looked like it hadn't been lived in for years. The windows were boarded up, the garden overgrown, and the mailbox rusted shut. The only sign of life was a single light flickering from the upstairs window. I double-checked the address. This was the place. As I walked up the porch steps, the wooden boards creaked under my feet. I knocked on the door, but no one answered. Instead, I heard the unmistakable sound of a door creaking open inside the house. "Hello," I called, my voice shaky. No answer. I was about to leave the pizza at the doorstep when I noticed something odd. The pizza box, it was bright red. That wasn't the box we used. Ours were always white with the company logo. I checked the receipt again. The order had come from my phone, so how did the box change? I shook my head, trying to shake off the nerves, and set the pizza down. As I turned to leave, the door creaked open just a bit more. I glanced back. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. A message from the app. Did you deliver the pizza? I typed back, yes, leaving now. Another message came in. Immediately, are you sure you delivered it? Confused, I looked back at the doorstep. The red pizza box was gone. Heart pounding, I stepped back toward the porch, wondering where it had gone. The door was now slightly ajar. Against every instinct screaming at me to leave, I nudged it open with my foot and peered inside. There, on a dusty old table in the middle of the dark hallway, sat the red pizza box, open. Curiosity got the better of me. I walked closer, my breath shallow, and glanced inside. It wasn't pizza. Inside the box was an old photograph, a picture of me standing on this very porch. But the image was grainy, like it had been taken years ago. Beneath the photo, there was a note, scrawled in frantic handwriting. We've been waiting for you. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the app, but this one wasn't from my company. The delivery was never about the pizza. The front door slammed shut behind me. It was a slow night at the pizza shop, and I was getting ready to clock out when the last order came in. The address looked strange, but the tip was huge, so I figured I'd take it. I put the pizzas in my car and drove out to the location, a place I'd never been before. The GPS led me down a series of back roads, twisting and turning deeper into the woods. The houses became more and more scarce until I reached a lone building at the end of a dirt path. It wasn't a house. It looked more like an old, run-down motel. I pulled up in front, noticing that every window was dark except one. A dim light flickered from room 13. The number gave me chills for reasons I couldn't explain, but I grabbed the pizzas and walked toward it anyway. I knocked on the door. No answer. I knocked again, harder this time. The door slowly creaked open on its own. Inside, the room was barren. No furniture, no sign of life, just peeling wallpaper and dust. But on the floor, there was something odd. A freshly placed table, set for two, with empty plates. My phone buzzed. A text from the unknown number on the order. Come in. I hesitated, but something compelled me to step inside. I placed the pizzas on the table and turned to leave, but the door slammed shut behind me with a loud bang. My heart raced as I tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. Then, I heard it. A soft, shuffling sound coming from the darkness beyond the doorway at the back of the room. I turned and saw a shadow moving, slow and deliberate. My phone buzzed again. It's not for them. It's for you. Before I could even think to react, the door to room 13 swung open, and two figures stepped out. They were dressed in black, their faces hidden in shadows. One of them was holding something, a photo. They handed it to me without saying a word. I looked down at the picture, and my blood turned cold. It was a photo of me standing exactly where I was, holding the pizza bags. The timestamp on the bottom corner read, 10 minutes ago. Panicking, I backed away, but the figures remained still. My phone buzzed again. Welcome. Your stay begins now. Suddenly, everything went black. When I came to, I was sitting at the table, the pizza in front of me, the plates filled. The two figures were gone, but their presence lingered. And then I realized I wasn't the delivery driver anymore. I was the next guest. It was almost midnight when the order came through, the kind of time no one really orders pizza unless something's off. But hey, a job's a job. The address was on the outskirts of town, a quiet, forgotten neighborhood where no one seemed to live anymore. I drove up to the house, a small, dilapidated place with flickering porch lights. The paint was peeling, and the front yard was overgrown with weeds. I checked the order again, large pepperoni pizza, extra cheese. I knocked on the door, but no one answered. I knocked again, harder this time. After a long pause, The door creaked open just enough to reveal darkness inside. "Pizza delivery?" I called out, trying to sound casual. A cold, eerie breeze seemed to flow from inside the house, making the hairs on my neck stand up. A voice from the shadows responded, low and raspy. "Come in. Just leave it on the table." I hesitated. My gut was telling me to leave, but something about the voice. It sounded strange, almost inhuman. Still, I stepped inside, my shoes creaking on the wooden floor. The house was colder than outside, with a damp, rotting smell lingering in the air. I could barely make out the outline of a table in the middle of the room, so I placed the pizza there and turned to leave. But as I reached the door, I noticed something. There was no light switch, no furniture, no sign of life at all. Just empty space, like the house hadn't been lived in for years. My phone buzzed. It was a message from the customer. "You forgot the drink." Confused, I replied, "I wasn't given a drink to deliver." "Check the box," the message said. I looked back at the pizza box sitting on the table. My stomach tightened with unease, but I couldn't stop myself. Slowly, I opened the box. There was no pizza. Instead, inside the box was a folded piece of paper with a single word scrawled across it: "Run." At that moment, I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow, deliberate, coming toward the stairs. I bolted for the door, my hands fumbling to turn the knob, but it wouldn't open. The footsteps were getting louder, descending the stairs. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the same number. "Too late." I turned around just as something stepped out of the shadows at the bottom of the staircase. A figure, tall and shrouded in darkness. I couldn't make out its face, but I could feel its eyes locked on me. And then, the lights flickered once and went out completely. The last thing I saw before everything went dark was the pizza box on the table. The word "run" had changed. It now read, "Stay." It was a slow Friday night, and I was about to call it quits when the last order came in. The address was way outside my usual delivery zone, an old neighborhood that seemed almost forgotten. But the tip was hefty, so I decided to make the trek. As I drove deeper into the dimly lit streets, the atmosphere turned heavy. Shadows clung to the trees, and the air felt thick with tension. Finally, I reached the house, a crumbling Victorian that loomed over the street like a ghost. I stepped out, feeling a chill run down my spine. The front porch creaked under my weight, and the door was slightly ajar. I knocked, but it swung open on its own, revealing a dark hallway. "Pizza delivery," I called out, stepping inside. The air was stale, and I could barely see past the entryway. There were no lights on, just the faint glow from my phone screen illuminating the way. I walked deeper into the house, my heart pounding. I placed the pizza on an old wooden table in the living room, which was littered with dusty antiques. "Hello," I called again, but my voice echoed back to me, swallowed by the silence. As I turned to leave, I noticed something on the wall, a large, framed portrait of a family. They looked oddly familiar, their faces blurred and distorted, as if the painting had aged poorly. But then I realized the family resembled me and my own family. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. A new message appeared on the delivery app. "Did you find what you're looking for?" Confused, I glanced back at the portrait. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. The faces were now shifting, morphing into grotesque smiles. I backed away, my instincts screaming for me to run. I grabbed the pizza box and turned to bolt for the door, but it slammed shut with a resounding bang. Panic surged through me. I could feel something watching me from the shadows. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call from an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello," a cold, chilling voice whispered. "You shouldn't have come here. You're part of the delivery now." Before I could respond, the lights flickered to life, illuminating the room. I was surrounded by dozens of portraits, all showing me in various states of horror, each one capturing a moment of fear as I realized I was trapped. Then, the portraits began to move, their painted mouths opening in unison. "Welcome to the family," they sang, their voices echoing in harmony. I dropped the pizza, feeling the walls close in around me. The last thing I heard before everything went black was my phone buzzing once more. Next time, just follow the order. And then I was gone, another face added to the collection.